listening to Shop Talk with your host, Kevin Tates. Brought to you by Eastwood Tools. Everything you need to do the job right.
Hey Gearheads, my name is Kevin Tates, and this podcast is brought to you by the Eastwood Company. Eastwood has the tools you need to do the job right. And over the next little while, we're going to be doing a bunch of different podcasts. But basically, first things first. Who am I and how did I get here? Well, my name is Kevin Tates. I grew up, like a lot of you guys did, in and around cars. Some of my earliest memories are of working on cars with my dad, with my brother, with my cousins. Some of the earliest, most important memories I have are all these old, cool cars. It's basically how we communicated as a family, and it's kind of how it got into my blood. And when I finally decided to get serious and have a career, it was going to be an automotive career. So I spent my time sweeping floors in body shops, learning the trade, and building off of what I grew up around and the hands-on skills that I had just out of necessity, building my own cars because I couldn't buy them, helping other people and other friends with their cars because we couldn't afford to farm it out and have somebody restore it. So those hands-on skills have served me well over the years as a professional automotive refinish technician. I've been a painter, I've been a body man, I've managed some body shops, and I've owned a body shop. And it's given me some insight as to not only how to run a business, but also how to interact with people, how to deal with customers, and on the other end, how to be a good customer and deal with manufacturers and sales companies and just learn the industry. And one of the things that really tweaked me in the beginning was people being unwilling to share of their valuable knowledge. And I made the promise to myself that I wouldn't be that guy. And I started the Paintucation Company. We produce instructional DVDs teaching people automotive restoration and refinish techniques. And I've been an automotive journalist. I've had the very good fortune to be a television host. And it's a wonderful way to make a living. I get to meet a lot of cool people, and it keeps my hands dirty. It keeps my hands in the industry. So basically, my personal experience and experience with Eastwood as a customer, that's kind of why I'm here. We're going to talk to people in the industry, either that I've met or that you and I will meet together, and find out about what makes them tick. What got them into this industry? What kind of cool stuff can we expect in the future from the industry? Insight that these people have had, funny stories, stuff that has happened to all of us. And it's going to be a really interesting thing to do. These podcasts are easily downloadable. You can find them from the Eastwood Company or on iTunes, and it's a real neat way to share information and give you guys some insight on training, on meeting cool guys, on finding out more about the industry that we participate in. To me, it's all about information and education. I've always been a sponge. I know a ton of you guys are sponges. The more I can learn, the better I can arm myself for solving problems. A very smart man once said, hot rodding is nothing more than solving problems. And I believe in that. I subscribe to that. And it makes itself more and more aware as a universal truth to me every day. So these podcasts are just an extension of giving you guys a little bit of a glimpse into the industry and some of the people that make it happen. So hang out with us. Listen to the podcast. We've got lots of cool people coming up. And just remember, Eastwood Company is a very forward-thinking company. They've got a focus on education. They've got the tools that it takes to do the job right. Hey, Gearheads, you're listening to Shop Talk, sponsored by the Eastwood Company. Eastwood has the tools that it takes to do things right. And I'm Kevin Tates, the host of Shop Talk. And today, we're kicking off a series of podcasts that are going to utilize not only my experience as a dedicated car guy gearhead, but also guests from the automotive industry. My tenure in the media and the automotive industry and television, as well as my quest for knowledge, not to be corny, has introduced me to tons of unbelievable people, of fine folks and celebrities and fellow gearheads, both famous and unknown, but equally as fascinating. And over the next podcast, you're going to be introduced to a ton of cool people from our industry that we all love and we feel deep-seated roots for. And speaking of that, we're going to go right to the source to talk a little bit more about the Eastwood Company and, his experience in the industry is Nick Capinski. Nick Capinski is with the Eastwood Company, and he's the Senior Content and Engagement Marketing Manager. And that is a lofty title, and we're going to have him explain that and as well as some of the other goals from the Eastwood Company. So I just wanted to introduce everybody to Nick. Nick, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Kevin, I'm doing great.
Good deal. Well, how is everything up in PA? You guys have been cold this year. Everything kind of mellowing out with spring?
Yeah, we're finally getting the spring weather. I was actually out in L.A. last week, so went from 70, 75-degree weather to snow on Monday, but we're up in the upper 50s this week, so it's shaping up.
It's becoming car guy weather, isn't it?
Definitely. Can't wait to bust my cars out.
Cool. Well, before we go further, because I do have some questions for you, explain your title and explain kind of how you got started with the Eastwood Company.
Definitely, yeah. So my title at Eastwood is the Senior Content and Engagement Marketing Manager. So basically what that entails is I oversee all the content created on the website, our videos. So we have over 200 videos out there now, and we're continuing to grow that and expand that. Our social media market. Basically, we're pretty heavy into social media. That's the newest thing. Everybody's out there on Facebook. Everybody's out there on Twitter, Pinterest. It's just blowing up. So
well, it really is. And I'm an old guy, and I was so resistant to social media and stuff like that. I'm computer savvy primarily because I have to be, so I'm held hostage by it. But the social media thing, I just blew it off as a just kind of a fad that I hoped would go away. But you know what? I don't think like that anymore. And obviously, the Eastwood Company doesn't either. It's really, really important for reaching people, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can get firsthand feedback directly right from the customers right away.
Yeah.
One of the great things with it is think of the guys that are older that are kind of resistant to the social media. All their grandchildren, they're out there. Their children are putting their pictures of the grandchildren out there on the social media site. So if they want to see these pictures of their grandchildren, that's where they need to be. So It's kind of helping to really grow that.
Yeah. Well, the one huge eye-opener that I had is my wife and I were shopping for a television. We went to the big box store. Every single TV that was available, other than the ones on closeout, had an integrated Wi-Fi system, had accessibility from a desktop or a remote keyboard. So the writing's on the wall, man. Social media and internet access, it's all molding and melding into this one wonderful or system for communication, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. That's the direction the world's going. Just look at how smartphones are growing. The last few years, everybody has a smartphone these days. I mean, it's so easy. You can jump on your phone and you can go to YouTube. I sit there all the time. I was at the airport sitting there on my phone watching videos. So, it's right there in your pocket now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's instant access and access to unbelievable information that when I got my started producing instructional videos was not available. And I'm not going to say how, well, I can say it. I started, Eastwood was actually marketing my videos in 2000. So we've been marketing Page Education for 13 years now. Back when I started, social media didn't exist. And now, yes, we all still have to do the work, but the social media takes that whodunit equation of how to get the information completely away, and it's so accessible. It's wonderful.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, well, let me get back to you. How did you get your start? Obviously, you're a hands-on gear guy, like everybody at the Eastwood Company that I've met. How did you get your start?
Definitely. I kind of got started with go-karts and mini bikes. That was kind of my introduction, just kind of playing around with an old rough mini bike, and it was always trying to get the thing running, keep it running, the chains popping off, and just kind of learn how to turn wrenches, just playing around my go-karts and mini bikes. And then from there, it kind of progressed. I got into Volkswagens. I've kind of had a passion for Volkswagen since I was really little. The neighborhood kids and my older brother all had Bugs when I grew up, and my first car was my older brother's VW Bug, so I started on that when I was 13. Basically, he had the thing, drove it through high school and college. It blew basically the engine blew, it threw a rod. He went to California, ordered a high-performance long block, and just could never get the thing running right. So it was it's one of those things that was sitting there. He never got it running right. He moved out, and the car sat at my parents' house, just sat out there rusting away, and it was basically an eyesore on the property. So my parents were basically like, look, you need to get rid of this bug. Telling my older brother, you're not living here anymore. So somehow I convinced, begged, pleaded, and convinced my parents and my older brother to give me the bug and kind of with my limited knowledge of turning wrenches on go-karts and mini bikes, taught myself how to work on it. So it was basically a lot of self-education. So back then it was before the internet. So it was magazines, manuals, just kind of checking out with guys that were in the hobby, kind of meeting up with different people that were into bugs and kind of just picking their brains and everything, and then just a lot of trial and error.
Right. So you're a DIY guy by necessity, like so many of us.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've taught myself how to weld, how to paint. I built all my engines and everything. Basically, on that car, I sewed up my interior. So my 7th grade home ec class, that knowledge came in handy.
Yeah. Again, we're listening to Nick Capinski, the Senior Content and Engagement Marketing Manager for the Eastwood Company, who, interesting guy, and you and I have known each other for a while. Nobody starts out thinking they're going to end up where they end up, and you didn't graduate high school knowing that you were going to have this position at the Eastwood Company. So it's really kind of cool to know that you started out like an automotive idiot like the rest of us.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
making
it's basically
mistakes and all that stuff.
Oh, that's making mistakes. That's the best way to learn. I like to just kind of dive in and be hands-on. And you know what? If it doesn't turn out right, it's metal, and you can always fix it. So it's one of those things. You make a mistake, you go back and you learn from the mistake and make it better.
Yeah. Hopefully, you make mental notes and grow from it too. But
that's right.
So, speaking of Eastwood, how did you end up at the Eastwood Company? How long have you been there?
I've been at Eastwood now going on 12 years, actually. So I became familiar with Eastwood kind of just going to Carlisle, living in Pennsylvania, the big, huge swap meets they have up at Carlisle. Going there with my family, just walking the swap meets, and then kind of stumbling across the Eastwood tent. I went in there, and the first product I actually bought was I bought a used set of headers up at Carlisle for my bug. Yeah. And walking through the Eastwood tent, I found the high-temp exhaust manifold paint. So that was basically my first experience with Eastwood. And then Eastwood was basically about a half-hour commute for me. So when I was in high school, once I had my car done, they used to have cruise nights every Friday night in the summer, and I used to take my bug down there and just became more familiar with the company.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm very fond of the Carlisle events. I've been to many of them, and I've taught workshops and done personal appearances and attended many of the Carlisle events. I love it, and it's right up the road from you guys, from the Eastwood Company. I've been to your facility up there, although it's been a few years, and we're going to change that this year.
That's right.
But you guys are everybody's real hands-on, and for me, the Eastwood Company means a lot of different things. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and this is near and dear to me because I'm very proactive when it comes to education. And just kind of a backstory, when I first started learning how to paint, I would ask these guys, I would say, hey, how do you keep from getting runs on a peaked edge? And I actually had a guy get mad at me for asking. And he said, well, you just need to learn that yourself. You just need to make the mistakes I made. I'm not telling you anything. And I thought, and I ran into that attitude over and over and over again. I know people listening to this have as well, and it frustrated me. And I slammed my fist on the proverbial counter, and I said, I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that somebody that wants to learn, that has the passion and the drive to learn, has access to some of this information, these trade secrets. I hated the fact that people so jealously guarded this information like it was something that was going to go away as soon as they told somebody about it. And the truth is, we accumulate our knowledge and wisdom as we grow. And sharing it doesn't mean you don't have it anymore. So the question I wanted to ask you, and I feel very strongly about that, and I know the mission statement from the company is, so my question to you is, why is Eastwood so interested in education and information for the customers? You guys could just sell parts all day long, but why the focus on information? Yeah,
and you kind of hit on it. Eastwood's tagline is "Do the job right," and it's one of those things. I mean, being in the hobby, I'm sure you've stumbled across this countless times. I mean, how many times have you come across a project that's basically been started and it's been abandoned? And a lot of these times, basically, the reason it was abandoned was because the owner got in over his head. He just was overzealous and got super excited, started tearing into the project, and then he got to the point where I was like, oh, man, I don't know what to do now. I'm in over my head. And they just get frustrated, and basically the project's no longer fun, and it gets pushed aside or it gets sold off. So it's one of those things that Eastwood, basically we want to share our knowledge and kind of make sure that people finish their projects. I mean, if you can finish your project and get the best results possible and take it out for a cruise and you're getting thumbs up, man, the first time you get those thumbs up, how cool is that? And there's nothing better than the feeling of taking your project for that first drive. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean,
absolutely.
Yep.
I've been an Eastwood customer since 1993, and I've had a very good experience both with customer service and the quality of the products. And on top of that, it's all affordable stuff. But the focus on education, I guess it's always kind of been there with you guys. But it seems like you are particularly spearheading this growth in information, the web videos, the Kevin's Corner segments that we do, the interactive, not interactive, but the forum, the website user group that's tied into the homepage of the website. This is all fairly recent stuff, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it's definitely recent stuff, and kind of like you hit on a little bit earlier, this isn't guarded knowledge. It's out there. We just need to get it out there to the people so that they can do the job right. If you can make their life easier, they stick with their project, you have a customer for life. So kind of sharing our knowledge and just kind of coaching people through, it gives them better results in the end. And if they use these products to get those results, that's a reflection on the company. So we want to be out there and just really help anybody that we can, just to make sure they get their project on track and they're doing the best job they can.
Absolutely. And, there's something that you said that it made a big difference. You talked about getting a customer for life. And basically what you do is you welcome people in and you give of yourself with the information, and somebody ends up walking away with something for free. And what in the world is wrong with that? For instance, my instructional DVDs, I don't give them away. They're not online for download. Because the resources that it takes me to produce them, it's expensive to do. However, I will spend an hour on the phone with somebody that has a tech problem, or I'm a member of a dozen internet forums, including Eastwood Shop Talk. And, although I'm spread thin these days, it's not just about taking the money for the DVD. And with Eastwood, it's not just about taking the money for the tools and say, well, good luck, you're on your own. No, sir. What we do is we help people with the learning curve, with analogies, and trying to make sure that their good experience is a good experience, and that their first time through with starting a project, or like you said, taking over somebody's abandoned project. I always tell people that you can arm yourself with the tools and the information and practice and get the experience, and you can screw it up 3 times and get it right on the 4th time and still get out from under it with less money and less investment than you would if you farmed it out and just took the keys after the shop was done with it. And that is so empowering, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's one of those things, yeah. If you pick up that knowledge, you have that knowledge for life.
Exactly. And then you can pay it forward, man. You can give it to other people. You can pass it on to other people that are just as passionate, or frankly, people that are in trouble. There's things that we can help people with. A lot of these chemicals are toxic. They're dangerous. We can help with education so that people don't put themselves in the emergency room. I'm sure you flashed your eyes with a welder before. I have, and it was from me being stupid. I'll just be honest. There's times when I've cut corners, and I've learned not to do it. But those types of things are what you and I can pass on to customers, and I hope that other guys listening to this that have good experience are willing to do that as well. And for the most part, people in the industry are.
Oh, I totally agree with that. That's huge. I mean, you're hitting on a very important thing, safety. I mean, that's one of those things. Some of the TV shows you see out there where they're fabricating bikes or whatnot, the guys are TIG welding or they're using a MIG and they're closing their eyes. Well, you know what? That's not helping you at all. It's not helping you at all. You got to be safe and you got to protect yourself. You only have one pair of eyes, and you got to be safe when you're doing this stuff.
Exactly. And, go to the TV shows, some people might say, okay, yeah, you've got your own TV show. It's the pot calling the kettle black. However, I remember this, and it will never leave my brain. I remember watching one of these TV shows where this knucklehead is standing there in flip-flops and shorts and a sloppy T-shirt, his charcoal respirators hanging off the side of his face because he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's spraying, high solids clear coat on bike parts.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. And this guy, I think he's probably still walking around, but who knows? My sister-in-law is a respiratory therapist, and she says that a lot of those wings are filled with old body guys, and that's kind of scary. It's funny to paint this cartoon picture of the knucklehead with the spray gun and the mask hanging off his face, but let's get serious. Some of the stuff is very dangerous, and it doesn't mean dangerous to where you shouldn't use it. It just means dangerous to where you need to arm yourself with the knowledge and the information to use it properly so we can live to spray again, right?
That's right. I mean, one of the common things, everybody calls it sandblasting. And you know what? You don't want to be using sand.
No.
That is so dangerous. And all these guys out there that are kind of newbies, I talk to them all the time. They think, hey, it's a sandblaster. I'm going to go pick up some sand and start sandblasting. And you explain to them, hey, you really don't want to be using sand, and this is the reason why. And they're thankful for that advice. I mean, it's just they didn't know any better.
Well, and there's that category of person, and they are thankful for it. And then you get the professional seasoned technician that says, okay, just this once. I don't want to walk across the shop and grab my safety glasses. And you end up with a piece of steel lodged in your eye, and you're in the emergency room, and the doctor's got his elbow in your throat, and he's jamming this piece of pair of tweezers into your eye, pulling out a shard of metal with a barbed end on it, and you think that any moment your eye is going to start squirting black mucus out because you were too stupid and too impatient to put your safety glasses on. I've been guilty of that. My co-host on the TV show has been guilty of that. There's a lot of people that think that just because they know the rules, they can bypass them. And that's not really smart either. So you've got two classes of people that need to learn safety. Those of us that already know it and just need to have it as part of everyday practice. And then there's the newbie that was actually going to listen.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that's something that we're trying to do, just kind of reinforce that. And the newbies and then even the seasoned professionals that we just kind of need to remind them a little bit. That's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Again, we're talking to Nick Capinski, Senior Content and Engagement Marketing Manager with the Eastwood Company. And he's the guy that's instrumental in getting all these free videos on the Internet. The Eastwood homepage is great because you can go and you can access, yes, there's product stuff. There's a price tag on all the tools. That you're not trying to hoodwink anybody. Eastwood has tools for sale, but you also have tons of free information, and these videos are great. I clicked on a couple of them this morning, and just the demos on, for instance, the MiG 175, the Eastwood branded welder. I learned techniques there. I see placement for wands, setup for the machine. Even if you're not going to buy it, click on the video, folks. There's cool information out there.
Oh, Kevin, and you're hitting on something that's really good. The information is great. Even if you don't have an Eastwood welder, if you have another welder, there's still information where you can take that information and learn, like the techniques you learned with you saw in the video for how to weld, different types of welds. I mean, you can take that with any machine.
Speaking of learning techniques, there's also some download streamcasts up there. I've seen a couple of them. I've seen one with Matt was doing a welding demo. That stuff is neat, and we're talking about social media and cutting-edge technology, the access to the web and this revolution that streaming video is doing. That is neat stuff. And tell me a little bit about, because this ties directly into the education and information that I asked you about earlier. Tell me a little bit more about streamcasting, why you guys started to do that, and kind of some of the interest that people have lent to it, and popularity, interest that you guys have seen in it once you started.
Definitely. Yeah, we've done several of the live streams now. I think we've done 3 or 4 at this point. And basically, what it is it's a live presentation, a how-to demo. And basically, we're doing a 35 minute demo on how to weld, how to buff metal, how to flare and create your own brake lines. We've done those types of things. One of the things that's really cool, though, is we have a live social stream that's running alongside while basically we're doing this live stream. So the participants that are watching can actually interact with us. So at the end of the live stream, basically, the person that's hosting, who has been Matt, he's basically reading off their questions and answering them live on the air. So we get that direct interaction with people, and so far, it's really going over very well. I mean, a lot of positive response. How amazing
is it's a very popular thing, and I'm sorry to step on your words, but I'm so excited about it. I'm sitting here vibrating in my chair. Don't take that the wrong way either. But I looked at the click count on that video that Matt's doing the welding demos, and it's 25,000 and counting. So people are really interested in this. And the fact that it's interactive, one of the things I love to do, Nick, is go to these big car shows, the Carlisle shows, and do live workshops and seminars. It's such a cool thing to be able to instantly engage people. But the problem with that is that the logistics of it, with going to these different places in the country. My good friend Ron Covell does workshops and seminars all over the world, and it's wonderful for him to be able to do that. But he's got to fly to Japan to do that. With interactive web, with the streaming seminars, I don't have to leave my shop. I don't have to leave my office. You don't have to go anywhere. You just got to click on the link and see this live workshop. That is powerful, powerful stuff, man. Well done to the Eastwood Company for starting this off.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun doing the events like you say, where you have to fly out there. That's a lot of overhead, and basically being able to do it in our shop right here and have people log on from their computers wherever they're located, or even their smartphone, and watch on their smartphone and interact with us. Very, very powerful. I mean, it's a huge educational tool. It is.
And I was up at Carlisle, I think 2 seasons ago, and I did several workshops up there. And I'm so blessed that people remember who I am and have seen me in these different outlets, and whether it's magazine articles or TV shows or have painturications, whatever. I'm so fortunate that people pay attention to kind of what I'm doing, and that some of the messages that I try and get out there, and frankly some of the ways that I try and help people with information and education. And it's such a cool feeling when people pack a seminar tent, and we have this great hour and a half to 2 hour long conversation about different things, and we can talk back and forth instantly. And the problem with that, and it's not a problem because I will still continue to do that, but one of the issues with that is that 150 people, that's pretty much maxed out for a seminar tent. We've had those types of numbers, and it's a cool experience, and I hope it's a cool experience for everybody. But with the web, just like universities are doing online classrooms, with the web, the streaming aspect of it, we can talk with thousands of people, and we can share this information with thousands of people at a time. So again, it's overwhelming how powerful this medium is.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And then we record them after the fact as well. So once we do the live stream, we have the recording there, which we post up to our YouTube account, and people can watch it forever. So if they stumble across it, that information's out there, and it's basically free and available.
Right. So, the Kevin's Corner segments, they're recorded and they're available on YouTube, as well as being mailed out with email formats. But we're also going to be doing some stuff together, aren't we?
Definitely. Yeah, actually in the very near future.
Yeah, the streamcasting thing, I'm all set up for it. We're nailing down connection issues and camera issues and getting our systems optimized to geek speak just a little bit. But I think we're ready to go, and I'm just so looking forward to kicking that aspect of my relationship with the Eastwood Company off. And and just quite frankly, you don't charge for these podcasts or the streamcasts, do you?
No, they're totally free, free, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So look at your crystal ball, Nick. Don't share too much if you want to keep something close to your vest, because I know you guys have an awful lot going on. But we've talked about all this cool stuff that you guys are doing right now. What's coming up in the future from the Eastwood Company? What do you see coming down the pike?
Yeah, we have tons of new products kind of in the pipeline. One of the newest products we actually just introduced it this past month. It's 2K Aerospray, which is basically like a paint gun in a spray can. It's a fully catalyzed paint and an aerosol, and it's pretty incredible. Right now we have epoxy primer, a high gloss clear. We have our ceramic underhood black, our ceramic chassis black in satin, and also in gloss. And I'll tell you what, it's incredible. If you haven't seen the video on our website, definitely check it out. The stuff is amazing. It has a real wide fan pattern on it, and basically it has 5 times the coverage of a regular spray can. So it's literally like spraying with a spray gun. It has a huge fan pattern.
Yeah, I've been able to have my hands on some of the prototypes for this, and the hair is standing up on my arms thinking about it. Because basically, as you well know, the difference between a professional paint system and a rattle can paint system is the limitations of the fan pattern, the fact that you can't shove a catalyst down into a spray can of paint, and that's okay. There's some coatings that don't need it, but you're restricted to coatings that don't need UV protection, strength, and things like that. So it's really restricted the aerosol cans up until this point. But now you hit a button and it intermixes the catalyst, and Viola, you've got professional-grade paint in a rattle can. So everything from environmental issues, not burning through a bunch of cleanup thinner, not exposing yourself to a whole bunch of toxic chemicals. This is neat, cutting-edge technology, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and start talking more about it.
Oh, yeah, the stuff is incredible. I actually made 2 push cars for my little children that we take to the car shows, and I used the Auto Air Color Sparklescent waterborne paints and then top-coated it with our clear. And I'll tell you what, man, that clear lays down like glass. No buff or anything. I push the kids around at the car shows, and guys are coming up to me. Man, what are you nuts? You spend $200 on paint on these push cars for your kids? And I'm like, it's under $50. So that's the beauty of it. Exactly.
And, guys out there that paint, they know how much a quart of clear mixed with catalyst is. Even though the Eastwood line of paint is very affordable, it's still expensive. You got to factor in that cost.
That's right.
The reachability of it. I don't even know if that's a word, but to be able to grab it off the shelf, shake it, or hit the button, shake it up, and you're ready to go at a very affordable price. It's fantastic. So again, well done, Eastwood.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and some other products that we're coming out with, and I don't even know if I should be sharing this, but I figure I'll share it with our podcast listeners.
Oh, we're amongst friends. Share.
That's right. So we'll let the secret out. But coming up in the next few months, we have a new knockdown English wheel that's going to be out. It's going to be priced very affordably. It'll be knocked down so you can ship it very easily. So we're not going to we're not going to have to do a truck shipment for you, so we can ship it FedEx and get it to you at a reasonable rate. And it has some really cool key features that are different than a lot of English wheels on the market, which I can't share that information, but I'll tell you what, once you see them, you guys are going to be blown away.
Yeah. Well, just for people that are by the way, that sounds really cool, and I want one. Anyway, but for the people that are listening that don't either have heard the term English wheel or don't know what an English wheel is, basically it's a shaping device that you slide metal between 2 rollers, one's flat, one's domed, and it gently massages the metal into a particular shape or a domed shape. And it's one of those tools that even if you do know what it is, until I started learning and studying, it was voodoo to me. It was intimidating. And again, it's one of those things that the more you use, the better you become at it. And as soon as you put your hands on an English wheel, folks, the light bulb is going to go off, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, why did I not use this sooner? Just like TIG welding. But the English wheel, again, one of the issues with it is truck freight. The silly things are heavy. They feel like you could put a set of wheels on it and pull them behind your truck as a trailer. Some of them are huge.
Oh, that's right.
So to have something that ships without truck freight, which is expensive, that you can set up, and the portability of it, if you've got a small shop, it seems like that would tie into to being just like your welding tables. They're collapsible. You can stick them off in a corner when you're done with them. It seems like this English wheel sort of had that in mind. Is that right?
Oh, exactly. This can be mounted on your bench, or you can actually mount it up in your vise. So if you're not using it, you just store it away in the corner of your workshop or under your workbench. And that's kind of been one of the big initiatives we've been doing. We know a lot of our guys don't have unlimited garage space. I mean, even if you do, you always find a way to fill it up. So that's been one of the big pushes that we've been really trying to do. What can we do to make efficient use of that garage space as well?
Yeah, and you said, what can we do? A lot of people don't know this, and I wasn't even aware of it, even with my long-term relationship with the Eastwood Company. I was not aware of the extent of the Eastwood R&D team. And R&D sounds like this big, intimidating thing, but really, what the Eastwood R&D team is a bunch of guys going, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. What can we do? And there's stuff that you guys have brought to market and developed in-house right there. You're not just going to trade shows and outsourcing and slapping your sticker on a bunch of stuff. You guys are inventing stuff. So tell me a little bit more about Eastwood's R&D department.
Yeah, actually, you hit the nail on the head. Some of our best product ideas have just come about from us working on our own projects. And you know what? We've come up with an issue, and we need to figure out a solution and come up with basically remedy that issue. A good example is Matt, who does our social media. He's building a Dodge Pilot House, and he put it on an S10 chassis. And he's done countless videos on it. He's shaved the drip rails, chopped the top, custom running boards, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the things he's done is he's putting it on bags. He likes his stuff long and low. So instead of shortening up the S10 chassis to fit the pilot house truck in the bed, he decided, you know what, I want to extend the length of the bed on it. So it was one of those things. Back in our R&D department, we have a huge brake, but it was one of those things we couldn't recreate those tight joggles on the side of the bed. So it was one of those things where, how are we going to recreate these joggles on the side of the bed? We need to be able to get nice and tight, about a half inch, and be able to get those joggles created. So it was one of those things. We kicked the idea around with our product engineers, and Mark, the one product engineer, he actually came in the one morning, had a pile of metal sitting there in the R&D facility, and he said, give me till lunchtime. So by lunchtime, he literally had a working prototype build up our VersaBend sheet metal brake. So we basically tested it out, made some minor tweaks and changes to it, and that was basically how that product got kicked off. It was basically by a need. We had to get Matt's truck, get the beds lengthened.
There's a couple of sayings that I love and that I've memorized. One is, necessity is the mother of invention, and you've just given everybody a literal example of that.
Oh, definitely.
It's fantastic. And Matt's truck is called Project Pilehouse, which I think is a hilarious name, but it's really neat. And anybody that's listening to this that hasn't seen it, you can go and see images of this pickup on the Eastwood Company's website. But the other saying that I love, Victor Hugo, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these guys that's all literate. I've got a high school education, and I just read a lot. But anyway, Victor Hugo, one of the things that really sticks in my brain a lot is the quote, "There's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come." That speaks volumes. And with what you guys are doing with new products and with what's happening, the melding of the web and information and great customer service, to me, that's just sort of an affirmation of that last quote. What's your thought on that?
Oh, I definitely agree. It's definitely an affirmation of that last quote. Being able to come up with the solution. If we're having that same problem, you know what? There's countless other guys and gals out there working on their own projects that are having the same problem, and they're trying to come up with a solution. If we can offer that solution that basically allows them to do that job more efficiently and better, that's what we're all about. We want to make sure we get the products out there, let them do the job right.
Yep. And feedback's important too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We actually, on our website, we actually have a spot where our visitors to the website can actually give us feedback, and basically if they have a product idea, so they've been working on their own project and they have a problem or they've come up with a product idea, they can actually email it to us and we'll get in touch with them, and who knows, I mean, their product may be the next Eastwood product.
Well, how cool is that, man? I mean,
definitely.
That would be something really neat. I want to ask you about something else. I've met Kurt Strohacker. He's one of these guys that there's a lot going on behind the eyeballs. That he's constantly thinking. And the Eastwood Company was started kind of rather humbly, just with the entrepreneurial spirit of Kurt Strohacker, and kind of walk people that are listening through how this company started. Yeah,
definitely. Kurt, he's a total gearhead, and he was working for a well-known company back in the late 70s. And it was one of those things. He was working on his own cars, and he was having a tough time finding the products and tools he needed to do the restoration work on his own vehicles. So he left a great job at a good company, and basically him and his wife out of their garage started Eastwood Company. So it started with a handful of products, and one of the products got picked up by, I believe it was a Mercedes club, and they endorsed it, and basically that helped push start the Eastwood Company, and it's grown over the years. Kurt's a great guy. He's still in the cars. He's actually 2 doors down from my office. He's in the office pretty much every single day, and the goal of the company has always been to basically offer great products at a reasonable price, give the education, continue to stand behind our products. That's one of the big things that we're really known for. I mean, just kind of standing behind our products.
Yep.
If you have an issue with our products, you know what? We're not going to bail on you. We're going to be there. We're going to work with you, make sure we get the issue resolved.
And it's so cool, Nick, that comes from the top down. And it's very apparent. I mean, Eastwood is an impressive company for many, many different reasons. But just to know that's the mission statement right from the top of the heap is very cool. And for me, as an Eastwood customer, that makes me feel good about the products and about the customer service. And I'll tell a quick story. There's a fella in my area in Middle Tennessee here that bought the Eastwood set of a plasma cutter and a TIG welder. And he was bragging to me about the customer service because there was an issue with one of the machines. Sometimes stuff happens. It's a mechanical device. He had great luck with it until there was something wrong with it. And he'd used it a lot. He's a professional shop, and he'd used this machine and beat the daylights out of it. And there was something wrong with the drive roll. I don't know what exactly it was, but he called. You guys honored the warranty. He was so impressed with that, and you shipped him out a machine almost instantly. There was no question. There was no trying to deny that it was within warranty or without, and his experience was, I'm sure, typical of what you guys show and give to the rest of your Eastwood customers. Am I wrong?
Oh, definitely. We stand behind our products. I mean, you can't be in business for 35 years and not support your customers. The customers make or break you, and we're here to support our customers. So, yeah, that's the experience that we give to all of our customers.
Yeah, and I've been on the receiving end of that as well, and it's just nice to know. It's the way to go. So again, we're talking to Nick Capinski, the Senior Content and Engagement Marketing Manager for the Eastwood Company, and just so excited to be offering these podcasts. And you know, in the future, there's going to be a lot of lip flapping, and it's going to be really cool stuff. I've met a ton of people in the industry in my tenure in television, in the print media, doing some radio, and quite frankly, just getting out there and meeting people with the Paintucation instructional videos, the different ways that we get to meet people. So I'm so blessed and fortunate to be able to call some of these people my friends and to be able to call somebody up and say, hey, we'd love to talk to you. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And one of the reasons that I signed on for these podcasts is to share information, is not to talk about myself. It's to give other people an insight into some of these other guys, whether they're famous or not famous. It doesn't matter. There's some fascinating people out there, and I'm sure you would agree with me, Nick, that the core of our hobby, the core of the automotive aftermarket and the restoration community is filled with wonderful, good-hearted, sharing people. Do you find that as well?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what makes this hobby so fun. I mean, the people you get to meet and just kind of the friends you make over the years. I mean, I've met so many great friends just from being in the hobby and then from working at Eastwood here. The guys were all gearheads, and just some of the people you meet. I mean, it's incredible. There's such a camaraderie, and everybody just supports each other. It's really good.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you get intimidated when you think about somebody like Chip Foose and, Don Garlitz or some of these other people that I've had the fortune enough to be able to stand in the same room with. And, I'll tell you from personal experience, not to brag that I know the guy, but just to tell people that Chip Foose is probably one of the friendliest people you're ever going to meet, and one of the kindest, most giving people that you're ever going to meet. Yeah, he knows who he is, but Chip Foose is one of those guys that he will give you the last moment he possibly has. He'll sign the last autograph at a car show, and if you think he's nice on TV, he's nicer than that live. So guys like that. Guys like Ron Covell, guys like, I don't know, we can rattle off a list of names here, but stay listening. Keep downloading these podcasts because it's cool stuff coming up, folks. And I'm sure, Nick, you guys are going to, kind of funnel some people our way, and we can talk to some more people on the internal side from Eastwood. But I'm just so stoked about it. I can't stand it, and it's going to be an interesting tenure. So how can people find these the podcasts?
We'll actually be pushing them on our Eastwood website, but then also out there on iTunes. So they'll be able to actually go out to iTunes and download them right from there. So we're making them really accessible. Great.
Well, listen, man, Nick Capinski, thank you for your time, and I just wanted to say it out loud. The Eastwood Company has been very, very good to me and given me outstanding customer service, and it's a very cool thing to be a part of some of this social media, some of these media outlets, and quite frankly, sharing our knowledge with everybody. And, some of the podcasts we've got coming up, actually the very next one is with a Riddler winner, a sculptor, a world-renowned instructor that is so passionate about sharing his education and experience that he gets out there and he shares his art and he takes the time to talk to people. And I'm talking about Ron Covell. Ron Covell and I have been good friends for a long time, and you will not find a nicer human being on the planet. And you couple that with the body of work that he's accumulated and the wisdom and skill that he's accumulated, it's going to be a really fascinating conversation, and it's going to be one of many. So if you're listening to this podcast, keep in tune. Download some of these things, because we're going to have a whole ton of fun, and we're going to talk to cool guys. And again, Nick, I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity, and we hope to talk with you and some more of the Eastwood team soon. And again, for everybody listening, thank you so much. And remember that Eastwood has the tools that you need to do the job right. My name is Kevin Tates, overall gearhead and car guy, and we'll talk to you soon.